the pole wad.
No adventures.
Well, I guess it's time to make a sequel. It goes without saying that Doom's modding scene is second to none. And with a history going back almost 30 years, I guess you could say that we've been through a lot together. From the good to the bad and everything else. And as said in the previous video, I've been playing Doom for quite some time. And over the years, I've come across a few WODs that I think stand out to me. So without further ado, my name is Barley, and this is my personal take on 10 more must-play Doom WODs. And just like last time, I'm gonna set a few ground rules, so once again, sorry Brutal Doom, you know I love ya. And for anyone who doesn't know what a gameplay WOD is, here's a list of examples. Anyway, let's not waste any more time, let's get to it. Starting out this list is Ancient Aliens by Skillsaw. What can I really say about Ancient Aliens? I mean, it's beautiful, it's challenging and fun, and the soundtrack is done by one of my all-time favorite Doom WOD composers, Stuart Rinn. But I'll be honest, this WOD doesn't go easy on you. You know that feeling of both fear and excitement when you go into a room and it's clearly gonna be an arena or a trap and you look around and then you quick save and then you have at it? Yeah, that kind of summarizes a lot of what this WOD's gonna do to you. Especially those later levels, they get pretty intense. Skillsaw is pretty famous in the Doom community, and this WOD is a perfect example of why. It's obvious that every level was combed over and refined to a near perfection. It's fantastic. And it's the perfect entry to start out this list. So definitely give Ancient Aliens a shot. But be warned, once you puff that pipe, there's no going back. Is it getting a bit cold in here, or is it just me? No, actually, it's Winter's Fury. Alright, Jesus Christ, that was bad. Winter's Fury is probably one of the most popular partial conversions out there for Doom. And it's not long into the mod before you start to understand why. Introducing lots of different enemy variants, intense boss fights, and even an original story supported by cutscenes, it also comes complete with a roster of new yet familiar weapons to go along with it. But for me, the real spotlight of the mod is the absolutely gorgeous level architecture and visuals. There were so many times that I just stopped in my tracks to soak in the atmosphere and just take it all in. So for anyone looking for a mod that gives a fresh spin on the gameplay and some very impressive aesthetics in Doom, definitely go check out Winter's Fury. What if you took Doom and turned it into a love letter to 80s action flicks? Then combine this with Duke 3D reminiscent level exploration and finally throw it all into a Mad Max post-apocalyptic setting? Well, that's exactly what Ashes 2063 is, and oh my god is it good. The story follows your character as he catches wind of a strange radio message. Determined to find out what the source of it is, he sets out on a dangerous journey to solve this mystery once and for all. With all new weapons, enemies, detailed levels, and even an all-original 80s inspired soundtrack by John S. Weekly, honestly, it's all 10 out of 10. I don't really have anything to nitpick. The levels are fantastic, the weapons feel really good. I mean, this shotgun might be one of my favorite shotguns in a game ever. And the enemies are all fun to fight. And in between every other level, you'll get to explore town hubs where you get to talk to the locals and buy supplies with your hard-earned money. Honestly, there's almost too much to talk about in this 1-minute summary, but I can say I absolutely recommend checking out Ashes 2063 for any Doom players out there. Just, be careful on the bike. It's kind of rowdy. It's getting a little bit obvious that I like Tormentor 667's maps. What with Wolf and Doom and Z-Doom being staple entries on the last list, I couldn't pass up this chance to talk about just one more of my favorite Doom mods of all time. City of the Damned, Apocalypse. While being much smaller in scale than the aforementioned entries, Apocalypse still brings a lot to the table. Tormentor must have been playing a lot of survival horror games at the time he made this map, because that's exactly what it feels like. There's barely just enough ammo to get you through most of the content, and each enemy can really wreck your day if you let them. The map itself is fairly open-ended, with good writing and notes filling in the backstory as you go along. And as you explore, you'll find keys to unlock new areas. Eventually, by the end of the map, you'll have found all the items you need to summon. Oh crap. When you hear the siren, you better get to safety, or well, I guess you'll have to find out yourself in City of the Damned, Apocalypse. When you play a Doom mod or map set, typically your objective is the same as any other Doom map. Find the exit by collecting keys and exploring the map. If you find that to be a bit predictable, then you might enjoy RTC 3057. RTC goes a bit more down the Hexen route. In fact, it feels more like a Metroidvania as you explore a large spaceship hub, opening new areas and, problem solving. You know, I think this is kind of reminding me of the System Shock series, and that's not a bad thing. But I can't say this mod is for everyone, and I had a bit of confliction when deciding to include this mod on the list, because RTC was released in 2004, and it was groundbreaking for the Doom engine, as it included lots of new scripting and elements that weren't commonly present in many Doom mods or map sets at the time. But here's the problem. It wasn't finished, and it probably won't ever be, which is unfortunate to me because I think its presentation and atmosphere are absolutely top tier. It's an immersive mod with emphasis on problem solving and lots of story to read. So if you like a bit of slower paced atmospheric levels with a focus on storytelling, then maybe you'll find RTC 3057 as memorable as I did. This one's gonna be a bit different from the rest of the list, as it's not just one WOD, but well, it's a genre of WODs. Technically, I should have just chosen one of the many WODs of this genre, but you know what, I don't care, whatever. It's my list. The premise is fairly simple. Each map is essentially a platforming challenge to get from point A to point B, pushing your patience and platforming skills to the limits along the way. Beyond that, however, they usually feature beautifully crafted and unique maps. Honestly, Jump Maze maps hold some of my favorite co-op memories from over the years. While this genre of Doom mods has fallen into somewhat obscurity over the years, I still find them fun to revisit and re-experience even today. So if you're looking for a more unique, laid-back social experience in Doom, then I definitely recommend the Jump Maze WODs for you. But make sure you bring a friend. In the spirit of featuring WODs that look so good they don't look like Doom anymore, I present to you Solace Dreams. Honestly, the visual style of this beautifully unique total conversion mod has me in love. Solace Dreams has you playing as the young student Yuna. She tries to figure out what exactly is going on as she goes into each one of her classmates' twisted dreams. Featuring a hub system with tons of different levels to choose from and plenty of cool, unique bosses, there's a lot to be had here. Gameplay-wise, it's inspired by Silent Hill and Dark Souls, and much like the latter, you have to wait for openings to attack your enemies and use dodging to your advantage. It's quite challenging and could be considered frustrating by players who prefer the more traditional run-and-gun experience of Doom, but overall, I found it fun and intriguing. While there are a few issues, namely some spelling mistakes and performance hits in certain areas, I didn't find it overall hindering to the experience. So I definitely recommend checking out Solace Dreams if you think it's your cup of tea. You remember that video in the early 2010s? Yeah, this one. Did you know that the guy who made this made a mega WOD? Because say hello to Going Down. Going Down starts off simple. You climb to the roof of the UAC office and take the elevator down. In fact, every level begins and ends with this elevator concept. However, as you start to go further and further down this elevator, things get a little, crazy. The maps start out relatively small, making logical sense in the size of the office building. But eventually these spaces start to open up more and more in ways that really subvert your expectations. Until eventually you, where am I? And honestly, what makes this WOD so good is how much it kind of just pulls the rug out from underneath you and surprises you every level. But either way, I don't want to say too much about going down because half the fun is, well, the surprises along the way. But I can guarantee that whether you love or hate this WAD, you won't forget it anytime soon. Okay, do you remember the game The Witness by Jonathan Blow? The concept was pretty cool. It was an open world puzzle game, and you kind of just go out into the world and solve puzzles until it all comes together at the end. Now, Doom's engine is not a good engine for puzzles. Shooting demons and exploring levels, sure, but puzzles not so much. Which is why the Given is so cool to me. And I'll say it right now, this WAD is not for everyone. There's not a single enemy in it. Instead, it's an entirely puzzle-focused map with incredible amounts of detail, all created from what appears to be mostly stock Doom 2 textures. The goal is to hit each of the 6 skull switches to raise the bridge to the final tower at the center of the map. And each of these skull switches are hidden behind puzzles that you'll find across the level. Now, you might be a little overwhelmed when you first boot up this map as it really doesn't push you in any particular direction. But I like that, because a large part of this map's appeal is the exploration and taking the time to really soak in all the little details and the environments crafted. But once you do stumble across the puzzles, which are all placed in distinct portions of the map, you might be surprised at how creative and strangely intuitive each puzzle on the map really is. So definitely check out The Given if you think it might be your cup of tea. Yar! Grab your Mike's Hard Lemonade, it's Pirate Doom. What started out as a simple reskin for Doom eventually developed into a quirky and memorable partial conversion mod. Featuring a roster of new and satisfying pirate-themed weapons, an entire cast of refreshed enemies to fight, as well as incredibly memorable maps, Pirate Doom really has it all. And over the course of the game, you'll visit such locations as a carnival, stay out of the freak show, the ruins of a lost city, and even a cool ship battle. Pirate Doom turns 7 years old this year, and you'd honestly never know. It still plays as good as it did in 2013, and it's still an absolute blast to play through in 2020. Every level feels well made and unique from the last, with a lot of good tricks along the way to keep you on your feet, including a boss fight with an iconic character from another series that I won't quite spoil. And it's because of this that I definitely recommend checking out this fantastic partial conversion by Arch. But only if you want to. It's just a list of recommendations, it's not even the top 10. Anyway, until next time, take care.